obviously, the theme I put together between the shade and the sun containers is that so many of these plants are going to be gone in their native habitats. And so again, going back to lost and found, and some of these things this was only discovered in like 1995. There's so many plants out there that won't be discovered because of development. And luckily, we've cobbled together a few of the really ornamental ones to keep in cultivation. No, that's a vine called Cissus discolor, but it's gorgeous. It can take deep shade, has a great patterning foliage, relatively easy. Put it where you would put a fuchsia or a coleus. So our philosophy has been for a long time is not flowers. It's about texture, scale, foliage. Because that's the only thing you can depend on. In our Berkshire summers, it's so different. Every season, to rely on flower power it's walking the plank. So I've really switched to relying on scale, texture, form.
Did I say I'm a redneck at heart? I grew up in the Berkshires, totally like four-wheeling in the woods, as a teenager. But these are from a dump truck. And then there are plants in the tires. From refuse grows resplendence, for the people who break their bodies to bring us beauty. An homage to the workers and their plant companions who work to build and support the beauty we enjoy here in the rich and verdant Berkshire landscape. What is lost is pride as a laborer. What is found is the laborer's old used tires salvaged from a pile in the woods. These dump truck tires haul the materials used to make and repair our landscapes and roads throughout Berkshire County. What is lost is a deep regard for the plants that are the basis of our existence. What is found is an appreciation for their beauty, which helps us reconnect to them, right? They lure us in. What is lost is a fallen tree. What is found is a substrate for growth. The centers of these planters are filled with the wood chips of our ash trees in decline due to an insect with a voracious appetite. Oh, chocolate cosmos.
The container exhibit here is like part sculpture, part planting container. There's actually 29 different species of plants in here. So there's like a lot to discover plant-wise, and then there's also kind of like a lot of fun stuff going on below the planters in this like nest of grapevine. The idea behind the containers is that I wanted to represent kind of the way that it feels, or the fun experience of walking through the woods and noticing, like, is that barbed wire, or is that grapevine, or like what's happening there, and then like looking a little further and realizing, oh yeah, that's someone's old lawnmower, or that's a whole car, or whatever. And you can see that the forest is just kind of like swallowed up someone's garbage pile, and the garbage and the forest are kind of starting to become indistinguishable from each other. Well, I thought it was kind of fun that like the rust and the grapevine have the same coloring, and it's hard to tell where one ends and the other begins. And the other thing that happened sort of organically as I was doing this was I realized I have a preference for a certain kind of garbage. And I don't like other garbage. What makes some garbage beautiful and some garbage ugly? Is it just time? Because what I was noticing was I really like garbage from like a certain time period. Pre-plastic. Stuff that feels like industrial. And then I thought, there might be like another Honora 100 years from now, God willing, that finds like a plastic bendy straw and is like, oh, let's get this cool thing. Or like a Gatorade bottle or something. And then to sort of bring it into the plant world, I wanted that wildness represented, but I wanted to do it in kind of a fun, artistic and more design forward kind of way, and so I kept my palette really minimal and used these kind of like dark maroons to offer a little contrast, and the flowers I kind of kept demure because I wanted it to feel a little bit more wild. And we don't often see like giant flowers happening in the wild here. And there is a pretty fun mix of native and invasive and ornamental, all kind of like squished together.
Color palette within this garden is quite subtle. It's pinks and lavenders and softer colors. When I heard about Lost and Found being the theme, I was instantly drawn to like an antique vessel of some variety. I was lucky enough to collaborate with Michael Trapp, who's a wonderful antiques dealer. He loves something that's been a little worn, used, dinged up, that is actually something that had a purpose and then it can be reused for whatever you like. So the things that I found were zinc vessels. They're mostly used for distilling spirits or winemaking. So once I had those structures, they have very interesting leaves. Each one of those plants has a really interesting leaf structure. So then I wanted to speak to the color of the zinc of these vessels. That drew me to a real subtle silver palette. You'll notice that almost everything is almost like a ghostly white, offset with some deeper greens, and then just some blushes of little pops of color just to kind of speak to the rest of the garden.